welcome back to the Read All Over Show presented by Lit Carnivale and me, your host, Toy Thomas, author, blogger, and reading advocate. I am so excited to share today's guest with you. So, Patricia J.L. is turning the myths you love on their heads. Let's meet Patricia.
Hello,
How are you doing?
I am doing good.
I am
Always got the pre jitters I get with everything like this.
Well, I am so excited to be sharing you with this audience today. I discovered you a while back. I believe it might have been part of the IWSG blog hop. But regardless, I think you were like on a book tour or something for Being Human. And that's where I discovered you. So I'm just excited to share you with other people.
No, thank
So
you.
tell people a little bit about yourself before we get into the interview.
Um, well, I have an extremely overactive imagination, which is why I write. I fell into writing completely on accident. I was honestly just kind of bored one day and I thought I'd just start writing, and it kind of snowballed from there. And ever since then, I've just been like thinking up stories and letting my mind go wherever and see what comes out of it. Sometimes it gets a good story, and other times it runs right into a wall. And that's just a nice little learning experience. So,
Absolutely. So I have a little bit of a structure here. I'm one of those plotter people that everything has to be planned out. So the first part of this interview, I'm going to get to know you a little bit as a reader. This is called On the Bookshelf. And my first question is just, what are you currently reading?
currently I brought it with me, so I made sure I would remember the author. It's called Haunting Tales by Nathaniel Hawthorne, and he's kind of like a author from the 1800s, so it's kind of really old literature, and it's just like these, it's just four tales of kind of supernatural sci-fi type tales that I found at my day job.
That's cool. Um, I know every school system around the world is different, but when I was in high school, Nathaniel Hawthorne was known for this series or a collection that's called On Walden Pond, and we had to read that. And it was very much like nature infused. I don't think there was anything speculative about it. So I would be very interested in reading what you're currently reading.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been fun. I kind of like going and reading these, centuries old authors, because it's kind of stepping back into time and seeing how people talk back then and
Yeah.
everything, and also knowing that we've always had this crazy, wild imagination for fantasy and sci-fi. Like that honestly has not changed in humanity.
No, yeah, it's been around forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is again, I know everybody has like their own, like their preferences. Like I have one friend, she won't read anything that's not in a hardcover. I have some friends who only listen to audiobooks. I am one of those vicarious readers that I will take a story in any form. For economic reasons, I do read a lot of ebooks, but I will do paperback, hardcover, audio. I love to consume stories. What's your preferred way to consume stories?
I actually do kind of prefer the ebooks over physical books. I mean, I love a good physical book, but one of my hobbies is I knit, and so holding a heavy paperback or hardback is kind of hard on my hands.
Mhm.
So the a light e-reader is just easier for me to hold for longer periods of time.
Nice. I like that. I think we tried to get my grandmother into reading ebooks. And I think the first time the battery died, she was like, obviously, this is not the technology for me, and went back to reading print books.
Yeah.
She's in her 90s. Okay, so the last question I have for On the Bookshelf is there a book that's not out yet, like soon to be released, that you're like highly anticipating?
Um, Actually not really. I'm really kind of behind on recent releases and whatnot, just because the day jobs have kind of taken up a lot of my time. So I've just kind of been focusing on what I already own. So I don't get online as much as I could, and get into the book community and see what's really hype. So I haven't been paying much attention to the to what's coming out lately, and just working through my own
Yeah.
pile of books.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. Whenever I do find out about something that's coming up, it's because someone else went out of their way to tell me about it. I'm always like a
Exactly.
year behind. So if it was
Hmm.
a bestseller last year, I'm just now discovering it.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been one to follow trends of in any sort of category,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Cool. So that was us getting to know you as a reader. And now we're going to switch gears and we're going to get to know you as a writer. This is what I call the open book. And I'd like to start with where you write. We as writers have like ideal scenarios in our brains. Like if we were going to just sit down and like crank out a book, this is where it would be. But that's not always our reality. So where do you actually get most of your writing done?
Honestly, it's in the living room on the couch or in my recliner. I don't have a specific office or setup because I did try that because I had previously, you make a little setup and then it's like you're clocking in. And so I tried that and my brain was just like, no, no, we have to get up from the couch to go over there to write. And then I just would end up not writing. So I just kind of have my laptop next to whatever I'm sitting in, and then so I can open it and easily just put it on my lap and go. I don't, so I can kind of be pretty versatile on where I write.
Yeah, I think I sometimes do that. Like you, if I'm on the couch or at the table or something, my laptop's nearby just in case like a spark, comes into, and I'll just put it down real quick. I'm also one of those people who deludes myself into thinking I'm going to get a lot of writing done, like out in nature. It never happens. I'm out there for like 5 minutes and I'm like, no, I got to get back to my couch.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. The next question is okay, this is one that I always am curious about. I feel like a lot of times writers, there's something about it that's just innate. That's why we write, whether we're doing it for ourselves or publication or whatever. Writing is part of who we are. With that said, there are some things about the writing process that can be challenging. I'm a total plotter, so sometimes I have to stop plotting and start writing. What
Mhm.
would you say is the most challenging part of writing for you?
Honestly, it is getting started. Like I can procrastinate so bad at times and go do this or that, but and sometimes I just have to make myself sit down and start going, and I'm like 5 minutes into it, it's just like I'm on a roll and I'm good to go. So it's just the starting. Like I don't know, some part of my brain, like I don't know, maybe overthinks it and worries too much about what I'm gonna write, and if I just stop overthinking it and just let it take over, then I'm good.
Yeah, I like that. Last question is this one is another one that I relate to myself in the sense that I feel like most writers are journalists, like they are journal writers to some degree. Like not everybody writes the same kind of thing. Maybe they have like a diary of like their personal experience, or maybe they have a notebook that they keep with their like ideas or their stories, something like that. Do you have something like that?
I have various files on my computer and in notebooks of story ideas, but I've never actually been much of a not much of a journalist in terms of like just writing down what's going on in my head. I don't know, that's just never appealed to me as because I know a lot of writers talk about doing like a brain dump, and
Mhm.
it's just not something that's motivates me to write, I guess. So, but when I get ideas, I definitely have to write them down. And I have notebooks that have various story ideas that it's like, okay, one day maybe I will get to
Yeah.
it along with the 20 bajillion other ideas I have written down here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. I think I sometimes fancy myself as being the kind of person who can keep a journal. I have so many that I've started and made it to like page 3 or 4. So yeah, it
Mhm.
is what it is.
Okay. I definitely have a stack of notebooks and whatnot that I bought with the intention of writing something or anything in, and then I have yet to do anything with.
Yeah, but that's part of what makes us who we are.
Hmm. Yeah.
All righty. So now we're going to move into the part that is the real reason why I started doing this podcast, where we get to talk about your work. I know that, like I said, I discovered you from reading Being Human. I also have read The Cure, A Quick Bite, and your Influence series, but I know you have much more than that. So I figured we would start by letting you highlight one of your works first. Like, what do you want to tell us about today?
Hmm. Well, let's see. You mentioned, my oh, Being Human was just my first book. Let's see. And The Cure was one of my most recent ones. Um, one book that I really like that sometimes I feel like I wish more people would talk about was Leaves of Fall. That was my post-apocalyptic fantasy where nature, like the trees kind of they're more sentient and they're like tree nymphs and can shift into human form and whatnot. And it's like they kind of went at war with humanity and kind of wrecked the planet in the process. And now it's like this, you know, post-apocalyptic world, and our main character was taught to fear and hate nature, but then she gets saved by nature. And I just kind of like the dynamic of enemies to friends and just learning that, you know, you know, we didn't have to go this route, and overcoming differences and stuff like that. And I just really like the idea of the trees being sentient and shape-shifting and the friendship that came between these two characters.
I
And I
love
definitely want
that.
to go back into that world more.
Yeah, I that's probably going to be the next one of yours that I pick up. I love that concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
I noticed that of the different works of yours that I have read, that there is always this kind of underlying kind of social consciousness to the stories that you're telling. Like it's not just a zombie story or just a vampire story. Like there's like deeper meaning to it. And do you do that on purpose, or is that just kind of how the stories come out?
It's completely on accident. I do not think of theme at all. My goal when I write is to just kind of give you a fun break from reality with a good story that you enjoy. And like any themes that pop up are completely on accident. But I'm also like when people point them out, I'm just kind of like, I'm glad that's the theme. That's a good theme to have. Like Being Human's theme, was kind of about un hate and you know you kind of like race the racial relationships that we have in the current world right now, but with vampires and humans, and just like uneducation. And it was like the themes I was really kind of proud of that popped up, because I was just like, yeah, these are important things and we need to learn tolerance and everything with each other. And just so it's really cool when people tell me the themes they see in my writing, and then they kind of get shocked, and I go, "Oh, I did not plan that at all."
Yeah, that's interesting because when I'm reading your work, it feels like it's all very intentional. So I don't know, I guess kudos to you for being that good.
Maybe it's just because in somewhere in my subconscious, I'm just like, I believe in us all being equal and treated fairly and loving one another and stuff like that. Even though I can be a pretty sarcastic and jokingly pessimistic.
That's personality.
Yeah.
So let's see. What is I want to talk a little bit about your influenced series. These are, I don't know if they're considered short stories or novellas. What do you consider
I
them?
always call them novellas.
Okay, novellas. Yeah, because they're quick reads, but they're very catching. Like when even if they weren't quick, like once you start reading one, you have to finish it because it's just like, what is happening here? Where did the idea for this series come from?
That was just kind of, I think it was just like a random what if question popped into my head. I don't even really remember what was the initial catalyst for the story, but I just kind of like the idea, because we always have the little angels and demons on our shoulder, and I was just, we've always seen that portrayed in, TV and movies and books and whatnot, and I just kind of thought one day, what if they fell in love?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Like, how would that work? And it just kind of spawned this whole little series where I kind of kept thinking, okay, what if this happened? And then what if there's like, this bigger picture or whatever? And yeah, it was just kind of, it was a what if question.
Yeah. You can definitely get that sense of what if as you're reading it because you're just like, is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? How is it going to happen? When, where, when, and where? Like I think it's done really well. And I know you just recently put out the fourth one in the series. Will there be more?
Yeah, I do have more. Yes, definitely. I have more that are written in. I have one that I'm unfortunately been struggling a bit with. Like I have the basis for the plot, but actually one finding the time and energy to sit down and do it and then, you know, listening to the characters tell me how it goes. They've been a bit stubborn on telling me their story, so it's kind of stalled a bit. But I do have more that are finished that I just need a little bit of editing for and, formatting. And I think I've already made all the covers because sometimes I spend too much time playing with that instead of doing the actual writing.
Yes, I can definitely relate to this idea of, I got to finish this chapter, but I saw a really cool graphic the other day that might work for a book cover.
Exactly.
And oh, there's one more I wanted to ask you about. I haven't read this one yet, but you have a mermaid romance, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that because like that's kind of a thing right now.
Mm. Oh, yeah, and I always forget to like say something about it during May because Mermaid May is called Mermay, and I always forget. Like the end of May, somebody mentions it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to like put a post-it note next to my computer or something. But yeah, that was a fun one because that was another what if question was because it's like, we've always seen the traditional mermaids, like Ariel and whatnot, and I just kept thinking what about a mermaid that lives in the deep, deep ocean? Probably because at the time I was watching a ton of nature documentaries on the deep ocean and because I love that topic and I love seeing like the creatures down there. And so I kind of started thinking about, a mermaid living down there and, just how would she survive the pressure and, would she be able to come up to the surface? And then of course it kind of spiraled into a ancient god curse and whatnot. And I definitely have more stories in that one too. So that's so yeah. So that was fun. And the thing I also kind of like about it is when it comes to the God character in it, I purposely left him ambiguous.
Hmm.
I didn't want to just go, oh well, he's Greek or Roman. I just kind of wanted him to just be like, it's just this God, and maybe have people think of the Greek and Roman and all this sort of inspired stuff that we know about in real life. And like, I wonder if like this God, if he was real, would he have inspired these ancient religions and whatnot?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun one. That was I can definitely trace the concept of that story to underwater nature documentaries.
Well, yeah, I've for a while I've been, dabbling in this idea of reading more stories about like not underground, but like underwater like societies. And I read a couple of short stories that kind of opened me up. And I really realized that, for me, my interest in like science fiction has always led me to outer space. But now I'm thinking we need to be writing more stories about the deep ocean because there's so much stuff down there that we don't know about.
Hmm.
I've seen some of those documentaries and I've seen some of the creatures that live down there. And I'm like, those are aliens. Like,
Yeah, it's its own form of outer space in a weird way.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's so cool. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself as a reader or writer and sharing some of your works with you. But now we're going to get into the cuckoo part of the interview where I'm going to ask you some off the wall questions. Are you ready?
Sure thing.
All right. So this is Don't Judge a Book by Cover. And the first question that I have for you now, I don't know if this is a thing where you're from, but it's a thing here in the US where some people get really agitated based upon how the toilet roll is set. Sometimes it rolls forward, sometimes it rolls backwards. And I'm one of those people that I don't really care. I typically roll it forward in my house, but I'm not gonna turn it if it's not that way in someone else's house. But some people will. So what are your thoughts on the direction of the toilet roll? Does it need to be forward, backwards, or does it not matter?
I definitely prefer it over, but like you, I will not go and change it in somebody else's house. I may kind of take the piss a little bit at them and be like, who did this? What is wrong with you? But other than that, I really don't care. I was like, to each his own is really not that big of a deal to
Yeah,
me. So
it's crazy that some people like I had someone that I went to college with, and they would change it. Like if they went into someone's house and it was like they would literally change it. And I'd be like, what is wrong with you?
yeah. I have better things to put my energy towards, I'd say.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's see here. Okay, here's another one. So, there are certain food combos that some people really enjoy that other people don't, and vice versa. So, like for instance, my husband likes to put pineapple on pizza. I do not like to put pineapple on pizza. Some people love to eat cold Chinese food takeout from like the night before. I do not like to eat cold Chinese food from the night before. So, are there any food combos that you're like either really into or just are like really opposed to?
Um, well, I am someone who does like pineapple on pizza. I'm fine with that. I like it. Um, I think the best food combination ever in the world is a grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup. Don't argue with me, you will be wrong. That's all I got. So that's kind of yeah, I can see the like cold pizza the next day from like delivery pizza or like from a pizza place. That's always not that's pretty good. Yeah, I can't say I've ever done cold Chinese. I've always warmed it up afterwards.
Yeah, I know some
I
people
mean, I
like,
can see the how eating it the next day because it's sitting overnight. It's got the sauce absorbing into it, and that some foods you need it to not sit out, but sit in the sauce
oh yeah.
long, like barbecue and stuff like that, really. And it just brings out the flavor better than eating it fresh. So Chinese definitely leans better towards buying it, let it sit in the fridge for a day or two, and then heat it up and eat it.
But some people will eat it cold. Like they'll take it
No,
out of the refrigerator and eat it. And I'm like, oh no, I don't.
no, I'd rather warm mine up. I think it tastes better warmed up.
All right, one more question. So this is a would you rather scenario. And so the idea here is would you rather be a court jester or a knight's squire?
I'd be the night squire. I'm not very big on being center of attention. I'd rather just kind of be in the sidelines and let somebody else take the spotlight. I'm too introverted for that.
I think so too. I thought about it and I was like, I could be funny, but then I'd have to be like funny on cue, and people would be staring at me all the time, judging me as whether or not I'm that funny or not. Whereas if I was a squire, I just have to make sure I take care of my knight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And what I think is funny, not everybody else will think is funny either. So
true. That's true. I might be cracking up, and everybody's looking at me like, you need a new court jester.
exactly.
All right. Well, I've had a really good time. I'm glad we were able to have this interview and share you with the world.
Thank you
Let's
for
see
having
here.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love inviting people to the Read All Over show. Before we depart ways, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you and your work online?
I am mostly on Substack at Twisting the Myths, where I talk about um, cryptids and ghosts and aliens in Michigan, as well as sharing fiction that I write and other various little things that, like I'll share my craftiness too. So that's kind of the main place. I have a Twitter account, but I haven't posted it to it in forever. I was only there for a daily Red Panda account, which is no longer posting, so kind of lost my reason for checking that. But yeah, so Substack is definitely the best place to find me and get my newsletter and interact with me.
Awesome. Thank you. And I understand that you have a special offer for our listeners today.
Yep. Okay. Yep, I decided kind of last minute because unlike you, I am a complete panster and will decide things by the seat of my pants at the last second that a giveaway sounded really fun. And I would like to offer um um 5 ebooks of my first book, Being Human, to 5 people.
Nice. And so how do they enter that? Do they just like comment or do they like reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, leave a comment with what your favorite cryptid is.
Ooh.
And then we'll pick 5 people and then um reach out to them and get them their books.
That sounds fun. I think my favorite cryptid, I don't know why, never been there, but I'm partial to Nessie.
Yeah, Nessie's pretty cool. I would definitely love to go to Scotland and Loch Ness and see if I notice anything. For me, my favorite cryptid would be the Michigan Dogman. You know, mostly he is from Michigan, but also he's kind of different from most of the other well-known cryptids. So I'm definitely a fan of him and trying to hype him up and upserve Bigfoot as the king of cryptids.
Yeah. All righty. Well, for those of you listening, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Patricia does have a special sample or additional questions that she's going to be offering to the paid subscribers. If you're interested in becoming a paid subscriber, please visit litcarnivale.substack.com to learn more. Until next time, stay safe, be blessed, and have fun reading.
Bye.
Read All Over Show Season 3, Episode 4, starring Toy Thomas, featuring Patricia J.L. Produced by Toy Thomas in association with the Toy Box Awards and Lit Carnivale. Directed by Toinette Toy Thomas. Read All Over Show logo designed and trademarked by Lit Carnivale and Toy Thomas. Intro sequence designed by Toy Thomas with the use of royalty-free images sourced from pexels.com, as well as the featured guest image. Intro music, Sunset Dream by Chill, royalty-free. Images provided by Patricia J.L. Toy Thomas, Lit Carnivale, and Toy Box Awards claims any rights to the images or video content provided. Book designs, advertisement provided by Toy Thomas. This episode contains copyrighted material, affiliate links and references, and trademark images and merchandise. Please visit our website to learn more at https://litcarnivale.substack.com. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thanks to the Lit Carnivale, Read All Over Show community at Substack, YouTube, and wherever you can hear this podcast. Have fun reading.